You've been living life by watching it happen around you, not through you. Right now, as you read these words, notice what's happening in your body. There's a quiet feeling, isn't there? Something deeper than just thoughts or ideas. That's not your mind reacting to words. That's your awareness recognizing a truth it already knows, but never had the words to explain. This is what I call the observer trap. Most of your life, you've been trained to watch, to observe everything. Watch the news, notice trends, pay attention to what others are doing, react to situations, respond to conditions. This habit has become so normal, so automatic, that you don't even notice it anymore. You look at your bank account and feel anxious or safe. You look at your relationships and feel loved or disappointed. You look at your body and feel confident or not enough. You look at opportunities and feel hopeful or afraid. In all of these, you're just watching, like life is happening outside of you, and you have to deal with it. But here's something almost no one teaches. Not in psychology, not in self-help, not even in most spiritual books. Pure observation, without creation, keeps you stuck. Every time you just watch what is, you're feeding energy back into that same reality. You're repeating it, not changing it. This isn't just a belief. It's how consciousness really works. When you stay detached and keep observing your life, you're unknowingly choosing the same version of reality again and again. You're telling the universe, yes, this is what I want to keep seeing. Think about your mornings. You wake up. Your mind instantly starts scanning. You check your phone. You notice how you feel. You think about your tasks. You remember yesterday's stress. In those first few seconds, you're not creating anything new. You're just repeating the old. You're agreeing to live the same day again. That's why change feels so hard. You're trying to observe your way into a new reality. But observation doesn't create. It only repeats. It's like trying to watch a movie so carefully that you expect the ending to change. But it never does. Most people spend their whole lives getting better at watching. They master awareness of what's wrong. They analyze their patterns. They study their pain. They can explain why they are the way they are, their childhood, their trauma, their personality, their limits. But all that analysis, all that understanding, keeps them right where they are. The science of conscious creation. In quantum physics, there's something called the observer effect, and it's often misunderstood. People say, observation creates reality, but that's not the full truth. Here's what really happens. At the smallest level, particles exist in something called superposition. They're not fixed in one spot. They exist as a cloud of possibilities. Every position they could be in is real, until someone observes it. The moment we observe, that cloud collapses into one single version. But here's the part that changes everything. The type of observation decides which version becomes real. Dr. Dean Radin, from the Institute of Noetic Sciences, did experiments that proved this. He found that when people simply watched a random number generator, nothing changed. But when they looked at it while holding a clear intention, the numbers began to form measurable patterns. Patterns that shouldn't happen by chance. So the difference between watching and creating is intention. Your mind is the same way. Right now, you exist in a field of endless possibilities. Different versions of you, different futures, different lives. But most people keep collapsing into the same version again and again, because they observe from habit instead of creating from choice. The brain science behind it. Neuroscience shows something incredible too. Your brain can't tell the difference between something real and something vividly imagined. At Harvard, Dr. Alvaro Pascual León studied people learning piano. Some practiced physically, others only imagined practicing. In both groups, the same parts of the brain grew stronger. The same neural pathways fired. The brain responded as if both experiences were equally real. That's how powerful your mind is. Your focus doesn't just notice reality, it builds it. So the question isn't, what do I see in my life? The real question is, what am I choosing to create while I'm seeing? This means your brain is always being shaped by what you give attention to, whether you're observing your current reality or creating your future one. Every time you focus on your limits, your brain builds stronger connections that make those limits feel even more real. Every time you focus on new possibilities, your brain builds new pathways that make those possibilities easier to reach. The real question isn't if you're creating your reality. You already are. The question is how. Are you creating on purpose or by accident? Are you shaping your life with awareness or just repeating old patterns without realizing it? That's the difference between being an observer and being a creator. The shift from observer to creator. 3 years ago, I learned this truth in the hardest way possible. My life had become a loop of the same failures, different faces, same story, different jobs, same struggle, different health plans, same problems. No matter what I changed on the outside, the results always stayed the same. And I thought I was doing the work. I was analyzing my patterns, journaling my feelings, talking about my childhood in therapy, trying to understand why I was stuck. But all I was really doing was becoming a master observer of my own pain. I could describe it perfectly, but I couldn't move beyond it. Then one day, it all broke. I was sitting in my small apartment, holding another rejection letter, feeling that same wave of disappointment I'd felt 100 times before, and something inside me just stopped. Not like giving up. Not despair. It was quieter than that. It felt like the constant noise inside my head finally switched off. And in that silence, I saw something clearly for the first time. I wasn't living my life, I was watching it. Watching my emotions, my thoughts, my results, as if I were sitting in a movie theater, complaining about the same film every night, but never realizing I could just walk out and start a new story. That realization hit me deeply, so I asked myself one question that changed everything. What if I stopped observing what is and started creating what could be? I wasn't talking about fake positivity or repeating affirmations or visualizing success. I meant something deeper. What if I stopped seeing life as something happening to me and started experiencing it as something happening through me? That thought changed everything. I didn't try to force results. I didn't make a vision board. I didn't chase outcomes. I did something simpler, almost rebellious. I stopped checking whether things were working. I stopped measuring my progress. I stopped judging if I was improving or not. And in the space that used to be filled with constant observing, I started creating. Not creating through control or effort, but through energy. I began to hold the feeling, the inner frequency of the life I wanted, even if the outside world didn't show it yet. I began to be the person who already had what I wanted, not the person still chasing it. At first, the shift was so small I almost missed it. But then, strange things started happening. Within days, doors that had been closed for years began to open. Someone I hadn't talked to in 3 years suddenly reached out with an opportunity that matched exactly what I'd been feeling for. A health issue that doctors couldn't solve just faded away. A creative project that I'd been stuck on for months flowed out of me effortlessly in one weekend. But the biggest change wasn't external. It was inside. The observer sees current reality. The creator sees infinite possibility. The observer asks, what is real? The creator asks, what wants to become real through me? That shift, from what is to what could be, is where everything changes. Applying it to life. This might sound philosophical, but it's not just theory. It's practical. It applies to every part of your life. In relationships, an observer watches what their partner does and reacts to it. They analyze behavior, notice patterns, and talk about what's wrong. But a creator doesn't wait for their partner to change. They generate the energy of love, connection, and safety first, within themselves. They hold the frequency of the kind of relationship they want to feel. And what happens? Reality begins to reorganize around that energy. The relationship starts to shift because one person stopped observing and started creating. In career and money, observers keep checking their bank accounts, tracking opportunities, and reacting to what's in front of them. They make decisions based on fear, based on what they can see right now. But creators move differently. They act from the energy of already being supported. They make choices from abundance, not from lack. They don't wait for results to prove it's working. They know it's already happening, and their actions align with that knowing. Creators have a clear intention. They know the value they give, and they trust the flow of abundance they attract. They act from inspiration, not from fear, not from lack. Observers, on the other hand, always react. They wait to see what happens before they move. Creators move from a deeper knowing. They act as if the reality they want is already true. In health, the observer watches the body. They check symptoms, track numbers, adjust behavior. The creator lives in the feeling of health itself. They let their body reorganize naturally around the energy of that vitality. It may sound small, but the difference is huge. Observers are always a step behind, responding to what has already happened. Creators are a step ahead, bringing into form what wants to happen. Something in you knows this truth. Right now, you can feel it, can't you? It's not a thought or emotion. It's a deeper awareness rising in your consciousness. A quiet recognition that you've been living more like an observer than a creator. That there's another way to connect with reality. A way you've felt glimpses of, but never fully stepped into. This recognition is the start of your shift. But knowing it is not enough. The observer state is deeply trained in you. You've practiced it your whole life, through schools that told you to memorize and repeat, not to imagine and create. Through media that taught you to consume and react, not to initiate or generate. Through systems that rewarded fitting in and punished being different. Breaking free from this observer mode is not just about understanding. It's about practice, repetition, and being willing to feel uncomfortable as you learn a completely new way of being. Here's the truth. You don't become a creator by learning something new. You become a creator by remembering that creation is already your natural state. Observation is the habit you must unlearn. At this stage, you can observe your own mind. You notice your thoughts, your patterns, your reactions. You've created space between what happens and how you respond. This is real growth. You no longer get lost inside every emotion. You know thoughts aren't always true. You see that feelings pass, that your patterns were learned, and what's learned can be changed. But here's the trap. Many people stop here. They become experts at watching themselves. They can explain every trigger, every behavior, every belief. They build complex systems to understand why they are the way they are. Yet they stay stuck in the same loops, just more aware of them. Why? Because observing yourself is still observing. It's awareness, yes, but not creation. You're still standing outside your own life, watching it happen. Now comes level 3, creative consciousness. This changes everything. At this level, you realize you are not just the one who observes consciousness, and not just the consciousness being observed. You are the creative power that gives birth to both. You don't reach this through effort or study. It happens through recognition. Something in you suddenly knows, I am the source of this reality. You stop asking, what is life trying to teach me? And start asking, what wants to be created through me? At this level, you no longer try to fix your reality. You generate new possibilities. You stop analyzing old patterns. You shift your frequency so completely that old patterns no longer exist. This shift happens in a flash. You'll have moments where you feel it, where life flows through you effortlessly. Then you'll fall back into observing, analyzing, checking, comparing. That's normal. Don't make it mean you failed. Just notice it and move back into creation. Each time you do, it becomes easier, more natural, more automatic. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first you fall, you lose balance, you doubt yourself. But you keep trying, keep adjusting, until one day it just happens. You ride without thinking. It's now a part of you. The same applies when fear appears, when the bills come, when the income slows, when anxiety rises. The observer reacts, looks at the number, feels worry, makes plans, tries to fix it. The creator breathes and remembers, my energy creates my world. They act from that truth, not from fear of lack, but from trust in abundance. And that is the difference between observing your life and creating it. Everything we do as humans is usually a reaction to what we see in front of us. We look at current reality, we judge it, and then we react. There's nothing wrong with practical action. But when that action comes from fear, from lack, from I don't have enough, we unknowingly repeat the same pattern. When you act from the feeling of not having, you keep attracting more situations where you don't have. It's the same vibration being replayed, but the creator responds differently. You still notice what's happening. You see the bank account. You feel the emotions. But you no longer call that number the truth. You simply ask, what wants to be created here? Instead of focusing on what's missing, you shift your energy toward abundance, not as something you must chase, but as a natural state that already lives within you. This isn't about ignoring the real world or pretending money doesn't matter. It's about creating from a higher energy while still doing what's needed. You can still make a budget, still plan, still look for new income streams. But the energy behind your actions is completely different. You're no longer reacting to fear. You're moving with inspiration. You're not forcing outcomes. You're aligning with the flow of abundance itself. The difference may sound small in words, but in results, it changes everything. When you live as an observer, your emotional state depends on what's happening outside you. You react to your circumstances, which means your reality controls you. When you live as a creator, you generate your inner state first, and that inner state begins shaping the outer world around you. Your energy leads reality, not the other way around. This truth applies to every area of life. In relationships, you stop focusing on what your partner does or doesn't do. You begin to create the energy of love and connection you wish to feel. And that vibration reshapes the relationship itself. In health, you stop watching your symptoms as proof of what's wrong. You start embodying the energy of wellness, and the body naturally reorganizes around that vibration. When you operate as a creator, you still take action, but it feels completely different. You're no longer pushing or struggling. You're channeling. You're allowing. You're following intuitive nudges that lead you to outcomes better than anything you could have planned. Emotional balance becomes natural. Observers ride an emotional roller coaster, up when life is good, down when things go wrong. Their feelings are ruled by the outside world. Creators stay centered. They can see challenges without being pulled into them. They can feel disappointment without falling apart. They can face the unknown without fear. This doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means staying awake and grounded even when life brings contrast or uncertainty. When you shift from observer to creator, you're not only changing your reality, you're part of something far bigger. Right now, millions of people across the planet are waking up to this truth. They're realizing the observer state is a trap, a loop that keeps them small, reactive, and powerless. They're remembering that consciousness isn't just something that happens inside the mind. It's the creative field that gives birth to everything that exists. This awakening isn't random. It's part of a larger transformation in human evolution. Throughout history, there are rare moments when collective consciousness reaches a tipping point, a point where humanity begins to access new levels of awareness. We are living in one of those moments right now. The shift from observer to creator is not just personal growth. It's a planetary upgrade. Each person who makes this shift adds to a collective energy field, what scientists call morphic resonance. It means that once enough people embody a pattern, it becomes easier for others to access it too. So your transformation isn't only yours. When you step into creator consciousness, you build an energetic pathway in the collective mind that makes it easier for others to follow. You're not just changing your life. You're helping change the story of human consciousness itself. That's why this message found you now. That's why it feels urgent. Why it resonates deep in your being. Your higher consciousness knows that this shift is not just possible, it's necessary, and it's happening now. Let's anchor it together. Here's a simple daily practice to move from observer to creator energy. It's not a one-time ritual. It's something you integrate until it becomes automatic. Morning reset. The first few minutes after waking are the most powerful moments of your day. Your mind is still soft, still open, not yet locked into yesterday's thoughts. This is where you choose. Will you slip back into observer mode, reacting, judging, analyzing, or will you begin your day as a creator by setting the frequency you want reality to match? When you practice this consistently, you'll notice something profound. You'll begin to access an even deeper level, one where the line between observer and creator disappears completely. You realize that consciousness doesn't just watch reality or make it. Consciousness is reality, experiencing itself through infinite forms, through you, through me, through everything. At that level, you no longer try to control outcomes. You no longer chase creation because you've become one with the creative field itself. You're not a creator trying to make life happen. You are life, experiencing the beauty of its own unfolding. You're the creative energy itself, expressing through the temporary form you call you. You're not creating your life from the outside. Life itself is creating through you, through your awareness, your choices, your energy. This isn't something you have to chase or reach for. It's the truth you remember once you let go of enough old conditioning and fear. When you stop trying to become something, you realize you've always been it. You just forgot for a while because the old version of your life felt safe, familiar, and known. But that old comfort is also what keeps you small. On the other side of that safety is creator consciousness, unknown, unpredictable, and infinitely bigger than what you've known so far. And the doorway to that state isn't something you push through with effort or control. You cross it through awareness. The moment you realize you're not simply watching life happen, but are the energy creating life as it happens, something shifts inside you automatically. Maybe that recognition is starting right now as you read this, or maybe it will unfold slowly over the next few days or weeks as these words begin to settle into your system and rearrange how you see yourself and reality. Either way, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. You can't fully go back to being unconscious after you've glimpsed conscious creation. The question isn't if you'll shift. It's how intentionally you'll take part in the shift that's already happening. In the comments, write just 3 words. I am creating. Not I will create. Not I want to create. Say it in the present tense, because this isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering what you already are, beneath the layers of programming that taught you to watch life instead of shape it. When you write those words, you're not just leaving a comment. You're making a declaration to your own consciousness, a signal that you're ready to live differently. You're telling the infinite field of energy that you remember who you are, not the observer of life, but the creator of it. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because everything shared here is meant to help you deepen this awareness and live from creator consciousness. Each video builds on the last, expanding your ability to live as a conscious creator instead of an unconscious observer. The old way of thinking taught you to watch life, understand it, and adapt to it. The new way recognizes that you're not adapting to reality. You're generating it, moment by moment, through your state of consciousness. Welcome to Creator Consciousness. Welcome to remembering that you've never just been an observer. You've always been the creative force itself, temporarily asleep to your true nature. And the moment you stop being the observer, you awaken as the creator. That moment is now.